culture.
What's poppin', everybody? It's your boy RB here, and welcome back to Rave Culture, Cultura Rave. Today, we have another badass guest lined up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about none other than the face of Peruvian dance music at the moment. This DJ slash producer has released in labels such as Repopulate Mars, Broauthentic, and Deeperfect, as well as playing in amazing venues such as the crazy Lost Beach Club in Montañita, Ecuador. Ravers and non-ravers around the world, let me introduce you to Amo Avenue. What's poppin', bro? What you telling me?
This has got to be one of the sickest intro ever. So, hey man, hope all good. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. And hey, appreciate the intro, man. Honestly, that's lit. Appreciate it a lot. But yeah, so I mean, I think we should start with how we met. So I mean, for everybody, if you don't already know by the Instagram posts or whatever, I'm a third-year music business student from Peru, like my dude Amo, and I was doing an essay on mental health, and I was like, who can I ask? Like I obviously don't know that many people. And I was like, all right, fair enough. This dude seems amazing. Like I fuck with the music he's making. Like I'm looking at him and I'm seeing like someone that's obviously having like really good releases, and I see like kind of like a good up and comer from Peru, and I get excited. And I remember that he posted, ask me anything on Instagram, and it was funny because I asked about the tech house and deep tech debate. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. It's crazy if you think it right now how we actually met due to an Instagram.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
And I remember then that I asked you, like, would you mind if I interview you for this, mental health essay that I'm doing? And yeah, it's crazy. It's been like kind of a year, bro. It's like we're 2 months shy of a year from that meeting, which is crazy. And crazier,
This year doesn't count though.
yeah. I mean, like obviously doesn't count. But it's crazy is like we're both Peruvian, and like I haven't met you in person. I mean, probably like we're saying like we might have shared like a dancer, but I don't know if I can tell if I will remember that, to be honest.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
But yeah, bro. So talking about that, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay, so yeah, first of all, thanks for having me again. My name is Sebastian. I'm Avenue. I'm a 25-year-old producer from here, from Lima, Peru. And I've been doing this for about 7 years since I started DJing, and about 5 since I started releasing music. Well, I have recent releases at Deeperfect, Tool Room, Safe Music, and the next 18 months seems really exciting for me. So has the past 18 months have been the same for me. So yeah, really happy with what's going on at the moment.
I mean, yeah, and it's crazy that they just announced that we're all going fucking raving non-socially distant 21st onwards. Like, I cannot wait for that. But I mean, dude,
hate you a little bit, but I'm so happy it's happening.
I mean, bro, it's time for gigs outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could look at that. But talking about that, I remember that you were having probably like one of the best years in your career, if it wasn't the best, on 2019. Obviously, like I remember you told me that you had already played internationally, but in terms of releases, working with the management and that, it was like it started to kick in. But before that, like, how did this came to be, if you know what I mean? Like, how did Amo Avenue like came to the to this moment where you're releasing in huge labels, huge DJs are playing your tracks, and also having like a number 2 and Beatport, which is fucking amazing. So like, how did this started, and when like did it get serious, like properly serious?
Yeah, I feel you. Well, this starts, like I said, from probably 5 to 7 years ago. Since I started making music, this very same room, my bedroom, and it never starts serious. It all starts like let's see how we go. So I was, of course, really excited. I've been a house head since high school. So it was very natural for me to start making my own sound, start making my own music, rather than just DJing, which I was already making in my last high school years. So yeah, I mean, it gets serious for me after I start releasing on important labels, because my first releases were shit, like that's like crystal clear to everybody that can listen my first release on Beatport. That's that shouldn't be there, and that's probably my
Yeah.
only regret,
Hmm.
and that's something that nobody told me, you shouldn't be releasing your first demo ever, but it
Yeah.
happened to me out of inexperience, but that's it. So the second, probably I signed to Lulu Records, which is Colombo's and Lulu Players
Yeah.
label. That's when I probably think like, oh shit, maybe my music is at that level. I'm being signed by the guys I admired the most at these years. By those years, I mean. So yeah, probably that's when things get serious, because that comes with two Brazil tours in 1 year in 2016, where I'm this 20-year-old dude, like barely playing here in Peru,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing everybody is getting my contacts ready and stuff, but barely playing here. And I, out of nowhere, I get two Brazil 5 city tours, which is like, fuck, this is serious, probably that's when, you know,
But that's crazy, man. Like,
it is.
like it's like, first of all, 20 years old having the first tour, like that's being like a baby. It's like, and obviously, like you said,
Yeah.
like not playing that much in Peru, but getting the opportunity to go and play in another country, like such a huge and different market as Brazil is from probably Argentina or
Yeah.
Chile or Peru, that have like kind of more similar markets in terms of sound. Um, and you remember you told me that that was when you were playing G House. So you realized like everything was serious when you were still making G House, or was it like before you make, or was it when you made the transition to like tech?
Yeah, well, like I said, probably the first thought ever that this might be serious is when I was making like new disc on G House, because this happens, this tour happens. But probably when I tend to think that maybe I'm serious at another level, like
Hmm.
maybe I can compete here locally, internationally, and probably be at an agency level or something like that, is yes, when I make the transition to a more mature sound, which is basically deep tech house and tech house, in that span of styles.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's probably by 2018 when I make that transition. It takes me over a year to nail a sound that I like. Because
Yeah.
2017 I don't release more than two tracks, I think, because I was polishing my sound.
And I remember that you told me that that was um the year 2017, right? Is the year that you start polishing your sound more towards like tech house at the moment, correctly?
Exactly. And 2018 kicks off with my Safe EP release, which features Haley and Catharsis, which are a blaster. They are played by Latmun, by Fisher, by Foss, by basically a lot of names that I look up to, and I still do.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's probably when things get even more serious, and I kind of find a place in this scene.
Exactly. And when you find like, when you kind of find the place in this in is, at the same time you told me that whilst you were like releasing the music, um DJs were playing, right? Like your music, but you weren't getting like the bookings. And
Exactly.
then with which of those DJs did you ended up playing? Like that played your
Mm,
music?
yeah, for example, Latmun is probably the most iconic case for me, because prior to that, yes, I had made some really nice warm up shows, for example, DeLaSwing and others. But Latmun was smashing Catharsis all over the UK and all over his gigs, and it was crazy for me to see that he was coming to Lima, because the first announcement is a flyer with just his name, and I'm like, fuck, I should be there, like this guy's
Yeah.
playing my tunes, I should be there.
Of course, man.
Yeah, so like who's bringing him, because here in Peru also, you most of the times don't get the official announcement first. You get like a rumor, of one of these blogs and stuff. So it was like confirmed Latmun December, and I was like, "Fuck, who's bringing it? I want to know. I want to send my curriculum." So yeah. Funny thing is, they had already considered me for this gig, and a couple weeks after the rumor, they confirmed the date and they contact me for the gig, and I end up playing with him, doing the opening set, and he ends up playing Catharsis here in Lima too, which is like crazy because everybody went balls with that. So
And how was that like listening your tune being played and like everybody going crazy out of it?
yeah, it was insane, because of course I had played my tunes here by 2018. I was already playing cool gigs here in Lima, and I knew the feeling of having your sound uh, be accepted by a crowd, of course, but having like the hottest guy of the moment
Yeah.
playing it in your hometown and having 1K people dancing to it, it was like, and people knowing that it's your tune too. I was at the bathroom, man, and I started hearing him mixing it in, and I was like, "Fuck, that's my tune." So I was wasted, of course. I run to the booth, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" But yeah, it was a really nice feeling.
Man, like I obviously can imagine that. I mean, I hope it happens with the podcast or whatever, but I'm guessing it must be like
For sure.
how like how would you describe that feeling that like your biggest tune so far, being played by the headliner of the gig who's really like one of the like he's pretty popular, like like super hot in the industry at the moment, and
Yeah.
obviously in your hometown and you haven't played there, like what's that feeling like if you could describe it, like
Yeah,
how
it's
like
in one word. Yeah, one word. It's probably surreal for me. It's yeah. I kind of accept it. I am aware it's happening, but it's still a bit surreal. I do believe in my stuff. I do believe in what's going on, but it's still a bit crazy. So yeah.
oh dude. And obviously after you have this amazing gig and uh we're talking about now in 2018, correctly?
Yeah.
Right, 2018. And then you told me that after that it's when you sign with the management, that you end up signing with someone that's going
Yeah.
to help in your career. How do you get there?
Yeah, it's during that time. It's during the probably mid to late 2018 that my music gets supported. I kind of start making more demos. I start making music that I consider that might fit some really important labels. But I probably have the same problem, but by that time that many producers have, many up and coming producers at least, that is, you have the nice beats, you have the nice demos, but probably the labels are not hearing it, and there's a ton of reasons why that we know that's might be the cost, the
Yeah,
cost for it.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's like, I mean, probably, producers send in one demo to 1,000 labels, and labels want that exclusive juice to release, or
Yeah,
like,
and not only that, at least in my case, it's not that, because I'm aware of that. Probably the reason is I'm sending a demo to a label that receives 1,000 demos, and
mhm.
the chances of them hearing me, this name that they don't know, are way less than an already established act. And that's not the case of every label. It's a lot of situations, but it happens, and I'm okay with that. It's at the end of the day, it's people listening to people. It's people handling people. So we're not computers. We cannot listen to everything and we cannot feedback everything. That's absolutely natural. But being in that case, being in the case that I have the music, but it's not being heard of, I come to see this story, but one of these UK duos, they are called Ruse, really nice guys, and they posted an Instagram story saying like our something like showing actually one of their emails from their managers saying like, yeah, we like these tunes, they can be signed either here or here, and I was like, fuck, like is that a possibility, like that
Yeah.
happens. So I replied to them and I said like basically what's this? I'm new to this. I have no clue of what are you doing, who are you working with, or something like that. So they tell me, well, we're managed by Toolroom. At that moment, at least they were. So they are basically label shopping for us. They listen to our tunes and they decide which labels they might probably release it.
Yeah.
And they told me we're now with Toolroom, but we used to work with this guy, which is Daniel from East Harbor Management, another guy from the UK, and they sent me his contact. I basically pitched for him. I sent him an email saying who I was and what was I doing, what I wanted to do, and that's where it all started. I'm still working with him, with this crazy UK guy, and yeah, that's basically where the relationship kicked off.
All right, and I think that's something that everybody who's listening here, whether you're electronic music producer, or you're doing whatever, like you don't lose anything introducing yourself. And I know that I spoke that with Katie Knight last week, that we're recording, but the thing is, like, honestly, the worst thing that can happen is they don't reply, and that's it. And like in your case,
Exactly.
like you end up taking something serious, but like learning like, oh shit, like there's more aspects in this industry that I don't know, such as maybe PR, booking agencies, management, et cetera, et cetera. And from that moment onwards, it's that we could say that your releases turn up a lot. And um now the last one that it's Sigue, correctly? That's the last one that was on Tool Room.
Yeah, it's one of the last ones, but yeah, it's
Exactly. And it's up there. But what I'm curious about is get into Tool Room, get into Deeperfect as well, which we'll talk about in a bit, about Morena being fucking number 2 on the Beatport charts. Um, what was the change working before on your own, apart from getting your music to labels? But
yeah.
like, what was the biggest change in there?
Yeah, probably the biggest change was to actually have solid feedback from someone that already knows what labels are looking for. And by this, I don't mean that he flipped my sound and he arranged my projects and he changed my style, nothing like it. It's just like a first-hand feedback from someone that knows what's that 5 extra% that you can add to your tunes to make it more appealable for labels. So so yeah, I started working with Dan, and we got to Rouge, we got to by Hector Couto, we got to Formatic by Format B, we got to Superfed by Nan Solo, and then the wheel kept moving, So we started reaching higher and higher labels.
And yeah, and that's when we get to that release last year in Noferini, in Stefano Noferini's Deeperfect. Um,
Exactly.
before I get into the in and outs of your career, I think we've had a pretty good timeline of it. What was it like? Because it was part of a VA, and you end up having a number 2 single in Beatport on minimal deep tech charts with guys
Yeah.
such as Christosy, Prunk, another, Joko, and so many, let's say, producers that are charted in minimal deep tech and Beatport. So, what was it like? All of these release.
Yeah, for sure. It's still crazy, and yeah, you just said something that's really important. This demo was not only released on a VA alongside 5 or 6 other tracks, which makes the whole charting and paying attention to thing more difficult, because it's
Mm-hmm.
a big release with other names. It's not somebody posting your name only,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit extra hard to get there. But it was not only that, but the demos I sent to Noferini themselves were, first of all, the first demos I was ever sending to him.
Okay.
And second of all, Morena was probably number 4 or number 5. So that was like one of my last shots at the demos. I thought he was gonna take anything but Morena, and
Yeah.
the only track he took was Morena for a VA. So I was like, okay, this is insane. I mean, Noferini's label, but the chances of that blowing up were still like far away. So of course the release goes live, and in a couple of days we break into the top 100, being actually the number 100 at the top. And since there, it just kept blowing away. And yes, being next to names such as Yoko and another and all these crazy guys till number 2, it was insane. It is still insane. It's still charting actually, so it hasn't left the charts, which is insane.
Which is crazy, man. Because like, it's obviously it's not the same not being at parties and being able to like to listen to it. Supported by a lot of
Yeah,
DJs, but live stream wise, like Morena has received a lot of love. Like Slay, you have the Never Dogs, you have support
yeah,
from national talents such as Noah Tapia as well, and obviously you posted a video in on Instagram. Well, you reposted one of Chris Tussy and Waf playing Morena in Lost Beach Club, which you also played in
yeah.
there afterwards. How was it like, especially in COVID times that there's not much going around and you see a video in one of the craziest clubs in the world and your track being played by two amazing, like one of the hottest new talents in the market being Chris Tussy and someone who's been here forever. And it's, such a great DJ as well.
Yeah, yeah. You just said it. There was so little going on promo wise. Like the hottest you can get, the hottest content you can get to repost is probably a live stream by that time. So yes, receiving like a live video from fucking WAV and motherfucker Pins to see playing back to back at Lost Beach. Yes, it was insane. And actually from there, people paid more attention to the tune, and that probably helped a lot for it to go up the charts. But yeah, it was probably something we didn't expect it. Like I said, in COVID times, from our last demo of the list and on a VA, So how did it get there? That's the power of music, I guess.
It's a part of music and hard work. And
Yeah,
obviously, another thing, it's it's that it came in a time where nobody is playing or anything, and then you get to play there, and with none other than Archie Hamilton.
yeah,
Um, how was it, bro, playing in a gig right now? Because I can't imagine the feeling. I mean, I'm guessing they have social distancing protocols and everything, but I can't imagine what it is going in there. And I don't fucking care if I'm sitting, but being able to listen
yeah.
like to hugest subwoofer and a sound system, like how was it? And how was it playing your tracks as well, man?
Yeah, that's probably where what I was gonna start with. The chance of playing the tunes I've been making for almost 12 months and having zero live feedback whatsoever. Other than live streams, and we all know it's not the same, and we love it. We love keep sharing music, but it's not the same. So yes, basically playing what I have been making for a year. It's like fuck. I don't know how under 18 can this podcast be? How X-rated can it be? But it's almost
Uh,
like
just go for it, bro.
yeah, it's like coming for the first
Yeah.
time being a 18-year-old virgin. Like that's probably the best way to put it in words. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's like it's sort of like in like an orgasmic sensation in you. You know what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
exactly.
And
And it's been held back for a long time.
long time,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like the 40-year-old virgin movie. So yeah. That's a
I,
nicer way to say it. So so
I
yeah,
feel you. I feel you. So I think
yeah,
people by now they have learned. They have an idea of your career. But I want to ask you. Obviously there might be a lot of people listening to this that maybe live in Europe or in the States where the industry is a little more it's like way more developed, but because it's part of the culture, it's part, like it's not like, okay, let's go to a rave one day a month. No, it's like people go out of raves, like it's a plan
yeah,
every weekend. And I think that doesn't happen in Peru, and if it does, it's not to the level that it is right now. Obviously, it has to do a lot with culture and motherfucking reggaeton. Nothing bad against them, but it's like shit. I mean, it's obviously coming from an electronic music head. But how would you describe the industry in Peru?
Yes, what you just said is absolutely true. Electronic music here in Peru in the last it has been around for probably over 20 years, but I'd say it's in the last 5 to 7 years that actually starts to be a little bit more present, and it starts to be not a part of the culture, of course, because we have like 10 names of other things that come first before electronic music here in Peru. We have a lot of diversity other than that, and that's probably the reason why. And yes, that comes with reggaeton, that comes with rock and roll, that comes with a lot of styles different than electronic music that are first on the list. But there has been more attention to it, and coming here in a scene like that, for sure we are aware. We not only the people that work in it, but the people that attend to it, the customers, they are aware that we are not at a level, not to go too far, just next to Argentina or next to Chile or Brazil. We're not there yet, but yes, we were having amazing acts week by week, like monthly festivals and stuff. So yes, basically it's hard. It's not as developed, not as formal, not as real as a scene outside might look. But the counterpart is probably the support that you have, and knowing in such a small market everybody, because you actually know everybody. It's not like being in Brazil and having 20 cities where events happen. It's just here everything is more centralized. There are things outside of Lima, yes, but basically you know them. You know everybody here. So that's probably a counterpart. People help each other a lot. There's still a lot of hate between styles and stuff. Yes,
Ooh,
but
so
yeah,
I'm guessing it kind of like how was it for you? Like when you were growing up, like because I mean, like you're saying, it's not a developed industry, but like it's developing. Obviously, there's for everybody.
yeah,
Like, don't think we don't have acts. Like, yes, Call Cox plays there. We have Resistance. We have a lot of different parties.
yeah, for sure.
But and we have amazing promoters. Well, yeah. I mean, I think we need more. I think that the moment more promoters, start like there's more people doing parties, like people will get more obviously
Yes,
into it. But
absolutely.
for you, how was it? Like, did you like because I've been told that it's a really competitive environment. Obviously, there's no media like TMZ News or I don't know,
Yeah,
like shit covering gossip. So people don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. They just see the end result. But how was it for you, like growing in this industry? Because you've told me it's like a hard, but it's good at the same time. So is it like
yeah,
really, really, really competitive?
yeah, for sure it is competitive. I mean, when I started DJing, like I said, first years of my career, I wasn't playing anywhere. And then I came up to realize that it's probably because I'm not showing myself. I'm just showing a DJ set where a couple hundred other people do the same. So that's when I started making music, showing myself. And that's where I actually get to the contacts, to knowing the promoters, to being hanging at the DJ booth and talking to the owners, the promoters, the artists, and the DJs, and the people making the guest list. And that's probably where I started introducing myself into the competition.
Yeah,
We all know music is not a competition and it's not a contest or whatever. We know, but talking of it business wise, it is. So you have to be there basically. So uh, for me, it was really natural for me, like since I was always going to the parties, to eventually end up there, talking to the people who make the parties, and to know what are they looking for, how are they booking, and you as a fellow DJ, what are you doing to be booked, and then it probably comes the part of, okay, which style is better, and which music is the right one to play at a gig, and what are promoters looking for. If I'm bringing
yeah.
a tech house artist, oh, probably people is not gonna like it because it's too mainstream. But if I'm bringing a minimal deep tech Romanian underground artist, probably there's nobody to listen at it. I'm just putting two really
To like
basic examples
extremes,
to
exactly. To extremes.
exactly.
And I think like for anyone that's listening, it's not that tech house bad. I think it's quite a
No,
debate going on at the moment.
it's
But
just
and
mix
and,
up.
and exactly, and also like with the with their minimal dudes, like things like if just like so that everybody's clear, the industry in Peru, I would say, has a lot of hunger for tech house, maybe deep tech. I don't think they know it yet, but they probably will if they don't do now. And obviously, there's Ish that plays the minimal, which is a promoter that usually books minimal
Great.
underground, like great promoters, underground locations. Like it's underground at its
Yeah.
finest, but no, you see a lot of amazing DJs going there, such as Sid, you
Yeah,
have
bro.
Armor,
One
but
of my last parties here was actually the Yish Festival, and they brought an amazing span of talents. You know, such a it was like a 10 artist lineup. You know,
yeah,
so 10 acts in one night for a sound that you might think it's not that profitable. That does that make sense?
that it's not commercially appealable, basically. Yeah,
Exactly, that you cannot make money out of it. Like, how are you making this if nobody's gonna go to your party? That's bollocks, you know. Like, people actually go to this sound because those are the guys that know how to bring this sound, you know, with the A1 speakers and the great location and the way that you can enjoy that kind of music. Same with tech house, they know how to promote a tech house party and make the big location and stuff, you know. So yes, even though styles are I would say here in Peru, styles are appreciated differently between each other, but every promoter that knows how to make that style of party, they do it well. You know, so they are aware that if they're gonna bring this style, they need this, and if they're gonna bring this other style, they need this. So people is happy in the end because that's why you go to a party, not to hate, you know, but to enjoy the actually the music, you know.
exactly. So going back to that style thing, then you reckon that like I don't know, like do DJs actually like measure that? Like for instance, like so because this DJ's doing tech house, like should I do tech house, or because this one's doing deep tech, should I do deep tech?
Well, I would say yes. I would say yes because there's a lot of people that take reference here from each other's. To be honest, I never cared much about it, and that's probably why I would describe my sets as unexpected, almost as I don't know if the word is right, but almost as a chameleon. You know that I can suit
That
myself where
exactly.
needed. You know,
Yeah, like
so
you
so yeah, I don't like to say I'm this style or this style. I'm just me. I'm just unexpected, you know. So I can do this warm up set for Marco Bailey for a techno act that it's not my night, but I can
mhm.
do it, and I can close the party for Archie Hamilton, you know. So it's basically this that I think sets me apart from many other DJs here locally,
Yeah,
that they tend to think that one style is right and the other one is not, and
yeah.
that you need to play this in order to be booked. And if you play this, you're probably not gonna get booked. So that's probably the main difference that I'd say it's happening here, and not in all cases, but sure it happens.
Yeah, obviously. And so I'm guessing that what you're saying is it's a competitive environment, but at the same time, like you also get support then from people.
For sure,
Like,
for sure. I mean, competence is everywhere, but you will get a really nice family feel also from the friends that are supporting your music, making collabs with you, and trying to get together to make a showcase party or whatever. So yes, because in the end, I think here in Peru we are all aware it's a small market and we need to come together to raise it up. You know.
and do you think that happens with promoters as well? Like because to me, when I think about Peru, I can think of three big promoters, right? So you have Bastion, and for everybody, Bastion is basically doing international concepts. Like that's their, I would say, their strength with it. They've done Brunch in the Park, they've done Resistance, they've brought huge
Yes.
acts such as Carl Cox, they've brought Nicole Mudaber, Martinez Bros, Jamie Jones, etc., etc. But there's also Ish with the minimal, and you have Super Club, which we could say it's the biggest one, right? With their own
Yeah.
concepts and everything surrounding that. So you have played for Super Club, you have played for Bastion, you've obviously played with smaller promoters when you were coming up. would you say that they support, like in Peru specifically, like do they support each other like in the industry, or do you think it's like competition and like, I'm like, don't take what's mine, if you know what I mean?
Well, that's a little bit hard
Mm-hmm.
to to analyze, because I would say yes, there is support from the bigger names, because so far, just to set the line, everything that I was speaking about is probably from the middle to smaller promoters. You
Okay,
know,
cool. Yeah.
I'm not talking about the big names that probably move the industry actually around here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so being that basically Super Club and Bastion. Why? Because they bring the big franchises that you just mentioned. So yes, I would say there is support from Bastion and Super Club towards the smaller promoters. Uh, I couldn't find a but otherwise than dates clashing between each others. That
Mm-hmm.
it's probably normal, because
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
gonna do a calendar party, you cannot. If you're bringing a franchise and that's the only date you have, you are gonna clash with other parties. You know, like
Yeah.
that's. I mean, you can talk about it. You can try to decide whether to move it or not, but that might happen. It's not a. I wouldn't call that unsupportive. You know,
Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
call so yes, I would like to think, at least, and in my own experience, I would say yes, there is support from
Mm-hmm.
everybody towards everybody, but it's not a perfect world. You know, it's not all
Yeah.
pink color and stuff. Like, for sure, a lot goes on, just as in any business. You know, and
Exactly.
it's not personal. Probably, maybe it is. Who knows? That's just as in any business. In any business.
No, it's business, and like as long as the industry grows, I think that like whatever happens and it grows, it's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's definitely been growth, like you were telling, like there's definitely more raves.
You cannot discuss that here in Peru. Like, we had Loco Dice and Corolla here last year by Super Club in a 5K party. We have we have a festival now by Super Club that actually represents Peru. You know, being that the Get Out, such as it was the Inti Fest back in the days. You
Yeah,
know, so that's a festival that people come from other cities and other countries, just because it's happening here and because we have names here and a proposal here that it's not happening in countries nearby. So
yeah.
for sure, that's absolutely. We have Fisher on a Sunday, you know, so that's like that's absolutely a proof of that things are growing here.
Exactly. And I think that's true. And I think it's gonna take time. But I think that when a club properly opens, like for electronic music, that's gonna have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, people are gonna start going for sure, and even Sundays. And talking about that, you mentioned Dice and Corolla playing, and I remember that in that party there was like, I remember seeing like, obviously you see people in alternate states at every rave, but I remember seeing this crazy dude walking around with like a banana costume, like
Yes,
like
bro.
partying, and he even went famous. I think it was like in Technovile and this kind of Instagram pages that have
Oh,
like hundreds of thousands of
yeah.
followers. And obviously it's been a while since you've been playing. Um, what's the biggest difference when you are going there as a fan, and where you obviously you're still going there as a fan, but when you're going there as a fan and you enter through the front door, and when you're going to play and you enter through the back door?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'd like to say there's no difference, but there is. You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, I'm still going there for the music. You know, that's the no difference for me. But probably the main difference is now you're getting all these looks on your face. You're getting all these haze and haze and haze and hellos, and that's probably the only difference to me, you know, because otherwise I'm just a guy in the party. uh, the difference when I'm playing is I actually make them dance, just than
Yeah.
being the wasted guy dancing next to them, you know. So
Of course.
that's probably the only difference to me. And I mean, it's fine. I'm still a raver, you know. I don't think that's ever gonna change.
Okay, but all right. I mean, obviously, I think it's part of everybody that works in this industry. I think you have to love dance music. Like that doesn't mean
Yeah.
like you can listen to hip hop and R&B and all these other genres, but I think you have to love dance music, like in everything that surrounds it. um and you were talking about the looks, right? That you get the looks and people saying hi. How is it when you're playing in the booth? It's something I'll never understand because I'm not aspiring to be a DJ. I'm not a DJ,
Yeah,
but the moment that you get there and you have like 1K, 2K, or 500 people, and you have people inside you, like, how is that feeling, man?
yeah. Well, I still get nervous. I think I'm not sure if I suffer from anxiety, but if I do, it's on a gig day. Like
Yeah,
first of all, there's this thing that, like I said, I still get nervous, even if it's like a 10 people private party or a 2K showcase. Like I'll still get that feeling of your heart blowing up before actually playing, and probably for the first tracks till you finally feel comfortable again. I still get nervous, and the other thing is that I get like real anxious about playing. Like I said, this is probably a bit weird. I love going to parties. I love partying from open to close, but when I play, I fucking hate it, man. I need to be there like 15 minutes before playing because I get there and I want to play. I just can't with the fact of waiting 2 more hours to play or 6 more hours till my show. Like it's insane. It's yeah. If like I said, I probably don't suffer from
uh,
anxiety,
yeah,
but if I do, it's there. So
yeah. And it's because obviously, like you said, like there's people like with the looks and they go like, so what this motherfucker gonna play now, right? Like, like
exactly.
what tunes is dropping. Obviously, like it's work at the same time. Like you're working, like
Oh yeah, for sure. But
and
it's not on that level. I don't feel anxious for that. I don't feel anxious for what people gonna say.
yeah,
I feel anxious for myself. It's yeah, it's a bit hard to describe, but sure you get nervous too for at least at the beginning of your career. You probably think, oh fuck, what's people gonna think about my set? But then you just carry on and make your own. Because that's why people is there to listen to you.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I'm guessing it must be like a cool ass feeling, like
Yeah, it
like
is.
just being there in control because you're in control. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in control of what's happening for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know. Like I just think that concept is crazy that you're there and you're moving everybody.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that for sure.
And I mean, like we said, you just had that in 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 Ecuador. When do
Yeah,
you think this could open in Peru? Because I know that yes, sir, it's opening on the 21st of June. And here, hopefully, please, Boris, don't change it. But um, when do you feel like this could open in Peru? Like, because I'm not there, haven't been there for a while. I don't know how I know the situation stuff with lockdown and everything, but when do you think that this could be open in Peru?
well, like I said earlier at the beginning of this conversation, I hate you a little bit, and I'm happy at the same time, because that light at the end of the tunnel that you're having there, our tunnel is still like pitch black. Like I actually don't couldn't tell you. I'd like to think it's this year. I'd like to think it's 2021, but situation here is still like fucked. It's still going down. So nothing too exciting by these days.
I mean, obviously, but obviously, I think COVID hit everybody in a really bad way.
For sure.
When I mean, especially this industry, what I'm trying to say is it's an industry that feeds off live music, and that's how it started back in the 80s at illegal warehouse parties outside of the city with acid house, like fucking strong. But like that's how it started, and it's a sector that lives off life. But at the same time, there's good things that have come up with this COVID thing, and one of them is you've been teaching, you've been
Yeah.
teaching music production, and how did this come to be? Like obviously, I'm guessing, like at first month, fuck it, it's gonna be a 1 month lockdown. Like it can't be a fucking Black Mirror episode. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, it's like shit. What do I do now? Because I just can't release music. So how do you get to like, okay, I'm gonna teach music production?
For sure. Yes, you just said it. Um, Well, for me, teaching is something that I always liked or always wanted to do because somebody taught me. My cousin taught me actually how to use Ableton and stuff. So that's something I wanted to give back. And I have always said it, but for sure I couldn't find the time when I was playing regularly. I couldn't find the time, and the little time I had, I wanted to invest it in on me by producing music. So I couldn't teach. It wasn't real for me to set up a production course. But of course, COVID starts, and a month or two that I realized, fuck, I'm not playing any gigs and I'm not getting any incomes on that side. Probably this can help me do both, get a solid income and get finally that chance to give back to the scene what I have been given to. So yeah, it's other than the money on the business side, of actually setting up a course and teaching people. It's actually really fulfilling to me to give back to people that look up to me, to connect at another level with the fans that follow me, because people that join to this course and not to others because they are my fans. The same way that if I'm gonna join a course and I have localized and this X act that I don't know, I'm probably gonna go for the localized one.
Yeah.
It's natural, and it's yeah, it's actually really nice. I'm happy in between all of these crazy pandemic year that it gave me the chance to finally set up the course that I wanted to.
And you told me that I mean, you just said us that you just told us, sorry, that your
Yeah, sure.
cousin told you how to use Ableton, and then you also told me before that you learned basically on your own after that, like how to do everything.
Yeah,
Um, how do you set up the course? How do you
yeah,
structure? Like, you're like, all right, I'm gonna teach, cool, man, and I mean, just thinking, like about, I was thinking the other day about like, how the fuck do unis and schools say, okay, so today we're gonna talk about, I don't know, let's say music publishing, and tomorrow we're gonna talk about royalties, and tomorrow we're gonna talk about, um, I don't know, like artist management. So like, how do you set up the
yeah,
course?
yeah, for sure. Yes, I'm self-made on that side.
Yeah,
I learned everything by myself. Of course, I had first-hand feedbacks and someone teaching me how to actually use the software, but then it's all on me, on tutorials and YouTube videos and life experience and whatever. So basically, the course, I try to structure it by mixing the best of both. Fuck, miss the word. Of technique and I don't know.
you can say it in Spanish, bro. No worries, I'll get it.
Yes, but I already missed it in Spanish too. So
Eh,
uh,
so
the best of theory and practice. Yes,
okay,
that's
cool. All right, theory and practice. Yeah.
exactly. I'm not even drunk. I'm not sure what's happening, but well, yes, I try to mix the very best of theory and my own experience and teach people that if this sounds right and it's not on the same key or the same scale that this, but it sounds fucking right and it's fucking banging, that's right, because that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear a symphonic structure that it's all perfectly made. Yes, of course, that sounds fucking amazing too, but if it's not working, you can switch to something else and it might work. So that's kind of what I try to preach in the course too. That of course it's not like make anything and make it sound good. There is a structure, there is an arrangement to follow, of course, but you can get out of the box, and you can try to make out of the box things that are not always gonna be theoretically good,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I like to teach. And yes, follow a 12 episode structure with the basics all the way down to the pre-master, which is what you deliver to the label.
So like if I'm taking Amo Avenue's production course, so like how do I like how does it start and how does it end? Like you start software and you end in pre-mastering, or how is it? Like I already know I'll end up in
Yeah,
pre-mastering, but like
yeah,
where do you start?
yeah. For example, I teach the way I like to do my tunes, which
Yeah.
is well, there is a first introductory video of knowing the software, and a first playthrough video of the track that you're gonna learn how to make. But leaving those two first episodes aside is the way I like to produce, which is starting off with the drums and then adding a little bit of swing to the drums and then adding a bass line. And then once you have that groove going on, basically add on top anything that you might like, and that follows the bass that you already did, vocals, synth line, effects, then arranging the whole stuff and delivering it all the way to a pre-master mix and everything in between. And while you're doing that, you're learning all the tips, like an EQ tip or a FX or a plugin that I use or something. All the specifics and details. You're learning it at the same way that you're learning the basics. So that's basically the structure.
Hey, all right. So it's cool. I mean, because I always wonder, but I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, and
Yeah.
it's how you do shit, and especially since you learn everything on your own, like how to do everything, and I think it's awesome, and I think it's awesome as well because, like I said, there's no parties and everything, but it's a time where fans from you like have connected with you and like have started producing, and they kind of get a hold of what's going on through Amo Avenue's head when he's making a track. Do you know what I mean? And it's crazy how it's gone viral all over the world. Like there's so many people teaching, and I think it's awesome because at the same time, like it's cool for you guys because you network. Like if you want to have a label later, like you might have producers that are better at a certain point, right? But at the same time, it's like this new wave of producers, like the ones that are taking this type of lesson seriously, they're gonna bring heat to the dance
Yes.
floor,
Yes.
and I think that's something awesome because there's means there's gonna be more DJs, but at the same time, it's like like for guys like you, it's like I'm guessing it's like shit, like we're teaching, but we gotta step up at the same time, like
Yes, man. To me,
and
it's fucking amazing. Yeah, it's fulfilling. It's nice.
it's nice. What is what's I know it's two different careers, right? Like two different things, but what's what are like the similarities in between teaching and your career as a producer slash DJ?
Well, that's a tricky one actually. It's actually a really nice question. That yeah, if I had to say what's the main difference, it's probably that that in one you don't get judged and in the other one you probably do. The student is rarely gonna judge you for what you're teaching him, and in the other one, in a producer, yes, you're gonna get judged by the people. So yeah, it's actually a responsibility to that. Now that I've said that and exteriorized that, probably now I come to realize the main difference is probably the responsibility you have by teaching someone
Yeah,
rather than just producing and doing your own. You're actually setting up the basis for someone that's gonna do their own dance. So yeah, it's kind of actually a huge responsibility if you think it that way. Like,
exactly.
shouldn't
And
be teaching, actually. I shouldn't. I'm the worst example.
but it's good, man. It's working, and I'm guessing that you felt like really good student so far. But going back a little bit to your DJ career, something that I wanted to ask is for any up and comer, right?
Yeah.
Especially from an industry that, even though there might be less competition in the sense that there's less industries, so there's less people doing it. At the same time, it's tighter, and the opportunities are not the same ones in terms of exposure as well. Like what I'm trying to say, people, is we ain't got motherfucking raves every week, 3 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week. Like we don't doesn't mean we don't get them. It's just let's say a city, you
Yeah.
have 6 Gucci stores in London, but you have one in Lima. It's kind of like that. And what I'm trying
Exactly.
to say. But uh, what do you say? Like what does it take to be a DJ? And like pursue a career in DJing and production. Like, let's say I want to start it, right? What should I learn? What are the skills?
Yeah. I actually would say it in 2 words. It might sound really easy, but it's not. But it's not only the material, being that the first word that you have, but the personality to put it out and to actually pursue what comes with it. So yeah, explaining, going a little bit further on that, it's not only having the nice DJ set and the nice material, being the nice press picks and the nice labels and stuff. Because okay, you've got a bomb track, you've got a nice label releasing it. Okay, I've got a couple hundred of those. You've got a nice look. Okay, that's fine. I've got 100 of those. You've got like a cool DJ performance live. Okay, I've got 50 of those. What's gonna make me choose you between out of those 50? You know, it's probably the personality. You know, your actual life development, but not as an artist, but as a person itself. You know, what's gonna if I have to listen to each one story, like I want to know what's the coolest story, you know, and that comes with personality, probably.
So, I think that's awesome to understand that. I'm guessing that from a technical standpoint, you'll need, how to use the decks, right? Like familiarize yourself with the mixers, the decks, obviously, uh, the CDJs, what headphones to use, blah blah. But it's also cool, like to know that what you said is really important. Like you have to be different. Like
Yeah, what's your story, you know?
it's like when I see local eyes, like I can picture something. I can picture like this crazy cool dude, like super like playing bombs, but like bombs that have finesse in them, and at the same time, like when I see his image, it's like like basically like this hype beast dude, right? Like all swaggy, streetwear, urban. Or when you see the Martinez brothers, like it's the same, but like they have a little more of like that Latino hit in them, and and you can picture them, right? Or when you see someone as Ellen Allen, like with her B pitch brand and techno, and it's I think I think that's something really important for people to know. And if you had to talk to the like this, what advice would you give to people that want to begin a career in this, like as to what should they
Yeah,
do or what they shouldn't, and like what
yeah,
what is going to be essential for them for success?
yes. Well, speaking especially about producers of up and coming producers, what I said at the beginning, if I would have liked to have one advice when I started, it's probably this one, and it's don't release everything you make, and don't go live till you know that you can actually go live. You know, like don't waste your first impression, your first strike, your first shot, because that's probably one of the most valuable things that you have when you're an up and comer. You know, and it might take longer to rebrand, you know, to wash an idea out of people's head than to actually put it in their head, you know. So that's
Yeah.
probably the first advice I'd give.
And in terms of getting bookings and like getting like
Yeah.
trying to get a DJ on the road, what advice would you give?
Well, it's get to know yourself. I mean, get people to know you, who you are. You know, I started getting my first gigs by actually sending DMs or Facebook Messenger by that time to promoters, to people. I did my research and I was like, okay, there's a party here in Cusco, and who's making it? Okay, this guy. So I wrote my DM and say, hey man, I'm this guy doing this, having this music. These are my social medias, and probably you're gonna get a ton of these messages, but hope you find the time to listen to it. You know, and I did that with what 10 people and 3 replied, and those 3 ended up in 5 gigs later, and then you start moving and networking, and that's how you get the wheel moving, you know. So that's what I advise. I mean, you can have the sickest talent and the sickest tune and the sickest production work ever, but but if nobody's listening to it, what's the case, you know? What's the point?
Exactly. And that's where you get to the point where you're at, because for everybody that doesn't know this, our dear Ammo is gonna be releasing on Black Book Records, from Chris Lake, giant label.
Yeah.
um how like how did that came to be, bro? Like how do you end up like from Morena been on Deeperfect #2 and now releasing on fucking Black Book Records, man?
Yeah, it's still insane. It's happening this Friday, this very Friday. And the story behind it, actually it's a bit actually goes a little bit against about what we just spoke about, because bro, Black Book being such a huge label in terms of reach, and Chris Lake being such a huge act since the last 10 years probably, it's like I actually thought like fuck, how would I ever reach him? You know, like I
Yeah.
don't want to be one of those emails in that 2000 per week demo inbox, you know.
Hmm.
So he actually wrote me, you know. He after my release on Toolroom, he dropped me a DM and said, "Yo, I like your release here. Send me more stuff." And I was like, "Fuck, this just happened," you know. Like Chris Lake wrote to me,
Yeah.
and yeah, it seems yeah, it's a little bit crazy, and it kind of made me realize, fuck, I probably shouldn't be worrying about not reaching the label. Probably I should go ahead with it, you know, just do it, you know. And and yeah, that's my experience with it, and now it's happening. That happened 2 months ago, and now we're releasing it, you know. So things have moved pretty fast, really professional, really solid. So yeah, really excited, actually excited for this release. So
All right,
yeah.
that's lit. And for anyone who's seeing this, the release is already out at this moment because the pod is gonna
Yeah,
be released after this. But go give it some love. Um, and you know, we spoke about you going and seeing all the faces, and the DJs, and the audience playing there, um, and you see people there, and also I'm guessing as a fan, and when you're starting, you also see DJs such as Archie when you just met them,
yeah,
when you just met him in Ecuador. Um, do you still get like starstruck like when you meet the DJs?
absolutely. If, like, there's this thing I say to them probably a lot is that, sorry, I'm gonna go a little fanboy about this, but and blah 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 blah.
Hey,
You know, and
yeah,
yeah, not to talk too much, you know, but just to let them know that fuck, they have really inspired me at some point of my career, and then we can speak about anything, you know, but just to show some respect, you know, because I think it's only fair that they know they're impacting people, you know.
yeah. And how would you say that, me as a fan, how would you say I should approach a DJ and how I shouldn't approach a DJ if I see them at the backstage or at the stage?
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, at the same time it has to be really natural, you know, even though you can say to them that you love them, you know, in other words, in easy words. You're not gonna go running while like, yo, what the fuck, and take out the phone and selfie. You know, it's not gonna be like that. You know, it has to be a really good conversation, like
Yeah.
the one we're having. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think the ways are really important. You know, and not only in this particular question, but in actually anything in
Mhm.
life. You know, it's all about the ways and how you're gonna get starting a conversation. So yeah, me myself, I'm actually a really chill person, so I like to speak just as we're speaking right now.
All right. And I think that's awesome. I think just people like, I said it on the last chapter, but like, don't be afraid to introduce yourselves if you have the chance. But like at the same time, like, they're already playing. They have a lot of flashes, or they will have a lot of flashes, and there's gonna be people recording them. So it's like, just don't go and be like, "Hey, bro, let's take a selfie." Not, like,
You don't want to be one of those people that they already have to make every day
exactly,
with day, you know. So yeah,
oh, exactly. So I'm guessing it's just being respectful. I'm guessing seeing the right opening as well. And if you're totally fucked, just
for
don't go
sure.
there,
You're
man.
not you're
Like,
not gonna approach like when he's about to introduce his USB to the CDJ. You know, you're not gonna be
exactly.
he's setting up to play and you're gonna go like, yo, what's your demo email? No, you're that's not the way.
That's the way it
If you
goes.
really
And
want it, wait till the end and get the right open.
talking about that, because we're coming to the end. What's the craziest thing, right? Because you're like we said, you're going now to the backstage. You're getting through the back door. What's the craziest thing that you can say that you've seen? Honestly, I want to one while playing, and number two in the backstage. In any given party, anything. Like, what's the craziest thing that you've seen in the dance floor playing and in the backstage?
Fuck, that's a tricky one. That's actually well, I know the craziest thing when playing, probably not exactly while playing, but the whole night for me was
Yeah.
in my first Chile tour. We were making a party where I was actually playing. I was the main act, and by 3 a.m., party got shut down by electricity. It wasn't the cops or anything. It just
Yeah.
the party, yeah.
Yeah.
And we moved. Well, the promoters moved the party to an after party, and everybody, exactly the same people that was on the party, moved all the way down. And this is where the crazy part comes. The after party was at a cold chamber. It was this room-sized fridge where they store
Yeah.
meat. You know,
Shit.
like they kill cows. It
Yeah.
looked like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre after party.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy
So the
fuck.
whole experience of it, like playing on a club and then playing on a giant fridge, was, yeah, really surreal for me. And yes, then
and
I'd say at
and
a backstage
in the
is,
backstage, bro, let's get the
uh,
juicy shit.
yeah, well, probably that. Fuck, I don't know. I'd go with the easy one, and it's seeing your favorite DA wasted and asking you for a cigarette.
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy if you put it in
Like,
perspective. You know,
yeah, 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 exactly. And I mean,
but yeah, probably there's a little bit of crazier stories, but that has to be for the next episode because I can recall right now.
all right, bro. No worries about it. So, I mean, you've up and come a lot. You obviously were in a really good fucking time in your career, but Rona happened. I think it brings opportunities. You've been teaching people, and I think that's awesome. You've been working on your music, getting sick releases, which could end up in showcases, pool parties, and music week. We don't know about it.
Yeah.
And it could also be an opportunity for first Ammo Avenue's European tour. Any promoter looking at, check out my boy, man. He's good. He's making shit the right way. And at the same time, I truly believe in you, bro, as the face of Peruvian dance music. Like, I
Thanks.
honestly wish you the best in that. We've come to the end, bro. Like, this is it. It was lit, man. I think I could have stayed here for hours, but it is what it is. Everybody, I hope you enjoy this shit, bro. It's so love for you. Is there anything that you want to tell the people right now?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for listening. If you have come all the way to here, I don't take anything of this for granted. All what you just said really feels special, and it's a nice compliment. I intend on keep working hard. I have my next releases lineup already. The first, basically all the quarantine month are going live right now. So I have my Deeperfect EP debut release. I've got the Black Book one. I've got Rock Authentic by Carlo Leo. I have Repopulate by Foss. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and basically thank you, and watch out. Yeah, keep an eye on it.
No worries, my brother. Hey, appreciate you. This has been lit. I hope everybody can enjoy this chat and take something out of it. Yeah, man, all love for you. Best of luck, everybody. Go check Ammo, Spotify, Instagram, even MySpace if you got MySpace. But yeah, bro, it's all love. Everybody, remember, it's all about the culture. It's all about the rave culture. Take it easy. RB out.